All right, so good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is the Steve Mazzacane podcast. It is Monday, January 11th, and we are just a ton of news to talk about today, but we'll take it slow to get started. We'll wait a few minutes for people to log on, but I hope everyone had a great weekend. Thank you for all the Saturday was my birthday, so thank you for all the birthday notes that came in. As you know, birthday is a little odd for me because I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. It's not something I celebrated growing up, and so some friends had a birthday party for me last night, and people were taking me out and that sort of thing. It was kind of nice to have. So kind of getting used to between the Christmas tree with no lights behind me that I have yet to take down, and the birthday stuff. It's pretty amazing. I'm still watching footage from last Wednesday, which is pretty amazing. We'll talk about that in a second. But in any event, thanks for joining me. And hopefully we are now 5 days removed from what I think was absolutely shocking. I want to see, where is my remote control? I don't know what I did with it. I'm going to listen to the volume on this. But in any event, it's kind of hard to even put in perspective today what's happening. The Democrats are going to impeach President Trump. We're going to talk about some of the reactions that we've seen, especially on social media and from the right on that today. And it's really just, it's kind of hard to even put into perspective. You know, it's amazing. I've seen so many posts, not really Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, over the weekend on this call for unity. We need to come together as a nation. And this week, we can't impeach him because we need to have unity. There is no unity at a time like this. You know, when our country is attacked, when 9/11 happened, after Newtown, which was a terrible thing, when we have awful things happen, the nation comes together. There's no question about that. There's a sense of unity. Whatever policy debates we were having, if we were debating healthcare, if we were debating immigration, if we were debating any of those things, everything gets put to the wayside, and we come together because we have a common enemy. But we have a common enemy here now, too. We have a president of the United States that didn't just take to Twitter to, keep his base fired up. He didn't just yell about policy or the crazy Democrats or Nancy Pelosi stuff or low energy. What is it? Well, that was Jeb, right? What was the Biden frame? It wasn't just the political rhetoric that it was known for, that he had escalated way beyond normal. This was inciting people to take over the Capitol, which is not that different than a foreign nation saying, attack the Capitol, attack the World Trade Center, attack Pearl Harbor. That's what it is. We have attack on our government. And so all of those people, the first response from so many people was, well, you didn't react this way when Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter didn't attack the Capitol. They had rallies in Washington, but they managed to not attack the Capitol. This group didn't. And they had the President of the United States, his son, and his personal attorney pushing for combat. There is no, let's all get together and have unity. I see a lot of Republicans posting that. We all need to be one now. We're one nation. Yeah, we're one nation against our president. And for the first time, it looks like you have Republicans that are elected Republicans that are actually looking at potentially impeaching this man, preventing him from ever running for office again. And there's a real sense of, okay, there's only 10 days left. But Jesus Christ, a guy like this, what kind of damage could he do in 10 days? I mean, there have been Republicans who said, without question, who were supporters of Trump, this is impeachable. And so, I almost look at this like if you're a Giants fan or any fan of any football team, and your team is up by 2, and there's 2 minutes left in the game, and you feel like, all right, we're almost there. We're almost at the end. But there's this sense of impending doom, like the other team can still come back. We can still blow this. We can still, and there's this sense here, we're almost at the end. We're 10, 9, whatever days we are away from a new president, from the Secret Service possibly forcibly taking Trump out of the White House. But there's this overwhelming sense that something crazy can happen in those 8 or 9 days. Like there's something we've never seen before or can't imagine can happen in those 8 or 9 days. And it's crazy. It's nuts. Thank you for, I didn't see the comments coming in. Thank you for everybody. Good afternoon to Elizabeth and Mary Jane and what have you. You're saying, please cite the quote where he said to attack the Capitol. I'm sorry, is there any question in a logical person's mind that he was encouraging that to happen? In any logical person's mind, is there a question that he was encouraging that? I don't think so. And by the way, I have a ton of Republicans that are all over TV agreeing with me. So no, there's no actual quote that says, hi, I'm Donald Trump, please attack the Capitol. But let's not be fucking idiots here. He clearly wanted that. He clearly was pushing that. And he was all over Twitter, all over social media, pushing a drastically false narrative. And by the way, if you're Republican, he was quoting all these false nonsense about the election when it was Republican registrars of voters, Republican secretaries of states that were saying there was nothing wrong with this. He took advantage of morons. And you're saying to me, how come there's not a specific quote? I hate to break it to you. Goodbye. Go. If you think he was justified in anything he did, watch somebody else. Rush Limbaugh wants your viewership. Go. Go watch whatever fuck station you want to watch. You want to defend that asshole? 5 people are dead. 5 people are dead. What are we, fucking stupid? You're adults. Jesus Christ. We're 5 days removed from an attack on our Capitol that every reasonable person on the planet looks at those quotes and looks at that rally and looks what Trump said at that rally and says, holy shit, this happened in our country. And I have people on my podcast saying, no, I'm not listening to that. Holy God. Wow. And maybe to a certain extent, I am guilty because I never thought it would get to that. Period. I never thought it would get to that. There's no evidence that it was Antifa. None. There's no evidence of that. None whatsoever. None. There's zero evidence of that. It's made up. It's the tooth fairy. It's Jesus walking on water, to my religious friends. It's made up. Didn't happen. Election fraud, made up. Didn't happen. Not true. Made up. And the result of pushing this stuff over and over and over again was an attack on our Capitol. Period. Now we have another one. How many people died during the burning and destroying of businesses all spring and summer? You know what? You're right. Some of those protests over the summer were awful. But this is an attack on our Capitol. This is people carrying a flag that is not the United States through the Capitol of the United States of America. Period. We had Confederate flags in our United States. We had elected officials running for their lives. We had the Secret Service take the Vice President of the United States into captivity or protection. We were attacked. No other way to look at this. There's no other way to mince words here. If you're trying to justify that in any way, shape, or form, you have to do some self-reflection. You just have to. Because the argument now for Republicans in the Senate and the House is not should he be out of office. Period. That's not it. It's should he be impeached? Should they invoke the 25th Amendment? That's it. There was no issue here with the election. The statements by Trump, his attorney, and his son were disgusting. And if you're an adult, you don't understand that we make statements that have repercussions and consequences, then you shouldn't be president of the United States. How is anybody defending this? How? And how do you compare any of this to Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter did, in fact, rally in Washington. Yet somehow our Capitol wasn't breached. Go figure. I didn't hear anybody say march on the Capitol. What was what's his name's Giuliani's quote? Give me a break. And by the way, for all the stuff about Twitter, and I am all for you should have the freedom to say what you want to say. But Twitter is not free speech. It's a private enterprise. They could block whoever they want. I've blocked people on this site. Because if you're going to bring nonsense and lies and slander and bullshit to the site, we're going to get rid of you. Twitter has that right. Facebook have that right. Now, social media is hugely to blame for where we are as a society. No question about it. They amplified nonsense. But how do we have adults, logical, intelligent adults, still on this comments here, trying to justify what we saw last week? Trump didn't invite them to the Capitol? There aren't tweets where he said, let's do this? This is going to be huge? He didn't incite them? On what planet do you live? It's interesting. There's an article on Yahoo. These aren't just morons, right? They're morons. We saw their action. Here's one of the people who were arrested. Brock, a 53-year-old Texan, was arrested on Sunday after agreeing to meet the FBI. The retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel. Retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel was photographed on the Senate floor on Wednesday wearing tactical gear, including a distinctive patch with a yellow fleur-de-lis, the insignia of his squadron. A tip to the FBI on him came from his ex-wife. Adam Johnson, this is the guy you saw waving with the podium. 36-year-old man from Florida. Stay-at-home dad caring for 5 kids, and his wife is a physician. Richard Barnett, this is the guy on who took Pelosi's desk. 60 years old from Arkansas. Doesn't say what he did for work. Jacob Anthony Chansley, this is the guy with the crazy, the horns. QAnon guy. I don't see anything that has anything to do with Antifa in any of these. 33-year-old surrendered to authorities. Here's his quote. The fact that we had a bunch of our traitors in office hunker down, put on their gas masks, and retreat to the underground bunker, I consider that a win. I didn't do anything wrong. I walked through an open door. Trump had nothing to do with this? Derek Evans. Evans was elected to the West Virginia state legislature last month, but resigned Saturday after facing 2 federal charges for his role in the riot. The 35-year-old live streamed the event on Facebook, shouting, "We're in, we're in. Derek Evans is in the Capitol." What planet are we on? They're responding to the President of the United States. They went to rally for him. Period. This is the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. His words matter. It would drive me crazy in the last few years because he'd make a tweet and a stock would go nuts. And he's rallying people to Washington to fight to take our country back after a completely legal and proper election. Period. This is on Trump. I don't care who you are. It's on Trump. And I'd be the first person to vote to impeach him now. Because the risk of having him ever run again, sadly, and win, and this is where democracy fails us. This is where the system we have is less than perfect. Because people who are crazy can run. I could take the crazy Twitter nonsense. I could take the nonsense tweets. And he wants to call everybody names and do all that stuff. All right, it's a new world. Social media has changed that. I can deal with that. And I've defended, at times, some of that nonsense as free speech. Embarrassing as a nation? Yeah. Sad to think of other nations looking at us and saying, this is our president? Yeah, that's sad, no question. But now he incited a riot of his supporters, not Antifa. No evidence of that. He inspired this riot based on completely false information on an election being stolen, or taking your country back. And by the way, what does that mean, take your country back? If you don't respect the Capitol, what are you taking back? If you don't respect the peaceful transfer of power, what are you taking back? If you don't respect our election system and the system we have in every single state run by Democrats and Republicans, what are you taking back? You clearly don't want to take anything back. You just want to tear down what's there. How awful is your life going to be now that Biden's the president? Out of curiosity. I saw Democrats overreact for 4 years about Trump. And I will tell you, they overreacted. The world did not come to an end. He didn't start any foreign wars. But we have elections, and there was a lot of people voted, and the outcome. That's it. Jack Orphan, the crowd got out of surprise. What a surprise. Out of control, what a surprise. I know people who were there. Majority of people did not participate in the nonsense. It doesn't matter that the majority of people did not participate in the nonsense. Some did. Listen, you could yell fire in a crowded movie theater, and 2 people can die. 98% of the people can walk out orderly, but 2% may not. You're responsible for that. That 2% that die or create the deaths of other people, that person who yelled fire in a crowded theater is responsible for that. Trump knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly what he was doing. Well, most people didn't do something wrong. Well, that's true of everything in society. Most people didn't fly planes into the World Trade Center. Should we have not gone after bin Laden? And every comment compares it to Black Lives Matter. What is the comparison to Black Lives Matter? I don't remember seeing TV with Black Lives Matter people in the Capitol. I don't see it. No one yelled fire. Trump yelled fire. He yelled fire a million times. And every reasonable, logical person, Democrat or Republican, will agree Trump yelled fire. Over and over and over again. The same rhetoric we would use if we were fighting the English in 1776, he was using to fight fellow Americans. Over and over and over again. Maryland, there was video of a poor police officer being crushed by a door, screaming and crying, bleeding from his mouth. It was nuts. He started a riot. I don't, and so that's where I'm seeing all over social media, we need to be calm, and we need to be calm, but we need to unify. The only unifying is get this guy out of office as quickly as humanly possible. And let's move on. And I feel for Biden, because Biden had every intention of, on the 21st, maybe on the 20th, passing some things, getting back to policy. So badly, I want to talk about policy. I want to talk about healthcare and immigration. I want to get back to that, Obama-Romney election or Obama-McCain election, where we had really smart people. You can't say demonstrate peacefully when the argument is that your country's being taken from you on completely false pretenses. Hey guys, listen, I want you to be very peaceful now, right? I don't want you to kill anybody or get too upset, but people are coming and stealing elections from you in freedom and democracy. No, that doesn't work. No, it can be impeached afterwards. It can be filed before then. But you can't, that doesn't, it's, hey, we should be calm, but somebody's about to shoot you in the head. We should be calm, but somebody's about to take all your freedoms from you. That's not saying let's be calm. That's saying everything you can say to rile up your base as much as humanly possible. That's not logical. And there is no comparison to Black Lives Matter. When you show me the Capitol overrun with members of Black Lives Matter, then we can have that conversation. And I've been extremely hard on Black Lives Matter here with the stupid fuck the police signs they had and all the nonsense that they had. Argument, fine. Equality, everybody agrees with that. But the nonsense of defund the police was absurd. But when I see Black Lives Matter, Alan Dershowitz disagrees with me. I am extremely proud of the fact that Alan Dershowitz disagrees with me. I have no problem with Alan Dershowitz disagreeing with me. Because there's a million lawyers on the other side that disagree with him. The Democrats are about to pass it anyway. So it is what it is. But the question is he, right now, a danger in any way, shape, or form to our country in these last 8-9 days? I think yes. I do. And I think there are Republicans right now extremely conflicted between party loyalty and the right thing to do for their country, because they are not the same thing. Period. And there's no other way to put this. And I respect those Republicans who are being honest about this. I respect those Republicans who are coming on TV saying what he did was impeachable. It was disgusting. I respect Mike Pence. I respect even Mitch McConnell for his speech. Mike Pence said, I'm not going down that road. No, well, Jack, you're right. The point is he can't be removed from office via impeachment. That's true. So that may not save us from the next 7-8 days. It will save us from him running again. Listen, he's not going away. He's going to do this stuff forever. But I have a very hard time thinking that there are logical Republicans, Democrats, unaffiliated, any people out there who right now think to themselves, our country would be better off if Trump had won again. Mike Pence is showing himself to be what we thought he was. I do not agree with anything that he stands for. The gay stuff, the religious stuff, the far right stuff, I don't stand for that. But there are people, and I know these people, who, without question, have drastically different views than I do, drastically different views from other Republicans, Democrats, but the country still comes first. There are some institutions that are higher than any of the differences that we have. They would never think to themselves, let's attack the institutions because I didn't get my way. I lost an election. And therefore, the institution is wrong and terrible. There's a movie, and I could almost understand this, with Denzel Washington called John Q. And if you ever saw it, it's about a father whose son is sick, and he, for whatever reason, the health insurance is not covering whatever, and he basically holds the hospital hostage. That I kind of get, right? I kind of get that if you feel that your child's life is in danger, you're going to do things that are illegal and wrong, and the general population would understand that. Your children's lives are at stake. Here we have an egomaniac who lost an election. Period. That's it. An election which is as American as it gets. An election where Republicans and Democrats signed off on the results. An election. That's what we are. We have a peaceful transfer of power. Nobody got hurt. Nobody's life is coming to an end. This isn't some kid that's not getting health care in a hospital. And they attack the Capitol? Jack, the divisiveness will not be cured by the Biden-Harris administration. Nothing is going to cure divisiveness if people want to continue dividing. It is in the best interest of typical political parties to divide people. Listen, I listened to Chris Murphy the last 4 years, and there are people who are very reasonable people who have said Chris Murphy is playing the role of riling his base up. His Twitter posts, his Facebook posts have done that. I don't agree with them. And it behooves both parties, from a strategy standpoint, to make the other party the enemy. So if you're a Democrat, they're trying to manipulate you. They just are. If you're a Republican, they're trying to manipulate you. It's kind of accepted as part of our political process. But to have a rally in Washington, by the way, why are you having a rally in Washington? You already lost. The whole rally was based on false nonsense. You lost. The election's over. They were certified. Period. Let's all march in Hartford. It's going to be amazing. We're going to fight for our rights. Our country, we're going to take our country back. No, we had an election. It's done. So there's normal political jostling. There's normal name calling. And that's part of the rhetoric and the tenor that we've seen. But nothing comes close. Nothing comes close to seeing your supporters in the halls of the Capitol. Nothing. And so I'm looking, all these posts, a lot of posts. Well, we need to come together as a nation. Yeah, there's only one way to come together as a nation. That's in unity, realizing, get this guy out of office. And let's move on. And if you don't want to get involved with that and you don't want to be involved in politics, okay, you don't like Biden, I don't want to be involved anymore, that's fine. But the alternative is not take over the Capitol. The alternative is not violence to the very institutions we claim to love. If you're saying make America great again, what America? It's America built on democracy and elections and certifying those outcomes. We had overwhelming bipartisan support for those numbers. The Georgia officials certified in the numbers in the election where Biden won in Georgia and in the Senate were Republicans. They said in the interviews, I was a Trump supporter, but he didn't win. So the question for those of you that are posting or commenting or watching or posting on social media is very simple. Where does the line become loyalty to a party or your country or then even a person? Because clearly the loyalty is not to the Republican Party. The Republican Party has said there's an election, it's over. They certified the results. Republican officials certified the results in every state. At every single polling station, there are Democrats and Republicans who supported the results. So if you're a Republican, what are you doing? And if your loyalty is to a person, to Trump, above party, above country, you're in a cult. That's what you're in. You follow one man who can say something without any evidence, and you will defend him and defend him and defend him. At what point do you look in the mirror and say, okay, enough? At what point do you look in the mirror and say, I want to talk about policy again? I want to have real political discussions about healthcare and immigration and funding for police. I want to have those conversations. Instead of, I'm following Trump no matter what. And everything he says must be true because I follow him. That's a religion. That's following the Pope no matter what he says. Or L. Ron Hubbard at Scientology. Or whatever religion it is. That's not politics. That's not logical human behavior in any way, shape, or form. That's you saying, I follow this man, and therefore, if he says it, it must be true. And no matter what I have to misconstrue or lie about or say afterwards for him to be right, I'm going to say it and I'm going to agree with it. There is no comparison between what we saw last Wednesday and Black Lives Matter. And there is no sense of, well, we all need to come together now. Yeah, there's only one way to come together. And that's understanding what we saw was absurd, and that the President of the United States played a very, very key part in making that happen. And people close to him, his son and his attorney, who, by the way, is nuts. He was a massive... Giuliani was such a hero after 9/11. When did he become so crazy? I don't know the answer to that question. But that's the self-reflection you have to do if you're a Republican or a conservative right now. And you have to do it as you're a Democrat too. Because more times than not, Democrats we stand for this, and there's a lot of hypocrisy. There's no question about it. And we'll have plenty of time where we call out the Democrats for being hypocritical. But if you're a Republican and you're posting, we need to be unified and come together. No. We need to be unified enough to say, wait a minute, our guy royally fucked up. And it's not a one-off anymore. It's a little bit crazy. And so is your loyalty to your country? Maybe a little worse, to your political party? Or to one specific individual? And then the question is, why? What did Donald Trump do for you that drastically changed your life for the better? Did he save your kid's life or something? Did he, jump after a car in the water and save your baby? I mean, what did he do? He's a guy with a massive, massive ego that no one, especially in the Republican Party, has been able to rein in. What's the loyalty to this? And so then I see all these, Twitter is taking away our free speech. No, they're not. Trump has no right to Twitter. He has no right to Facebook. He's an American just like everybody else. He's a citizen just like everyone else. And no corporation wants to be on the side of someone inciting violence in the Capitol. Nobody wants to be on that side. It would take me 2 seconds if I saw a comment like that on our site to block that person. I don't blame Twitter. I don't blame Jack Dorsey. I don't blame Zuckerberg. I blame them for the state of our current discussion, the state of our country, the state of the way we handle issues now. I blame them for that. But saying I don't want somebody who's going to divide the country and in any way, shape, or form incite an attack on our very government and our systems. Jack, I'll let you respond because I'm going to read this comment. You missed the entire point regarding the BLM comparisons. If you were going to hold Trump responsible for the political Capitol riot, then every politician who encouraged BLM protests that resulted in cities being burned and even a federal building being attacked in Portland needs to be held responsible for that. Okay, I don't remember that happening. I don't remember. Give me the politician who went and spoke at a Black Lives Matter rally and said we need to march on this stuff. I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing that. When did Biden go to a Black Lives Matter rally and say, let's break into the Capitol, and then have his attorney come up and say, we need to have whatever? But the issue with Twitter, they do not apply the rules. They don't have to. Free speech is about the government retribution for your speech. It's not about a corporation doing it. The issue with Twitter is they do not apply the rules equally. They don't have to. There's no comparison. There's no longer a discussion. What happened Wednesday was disgusting. Donald Trump was part of the cause, and Donald Trump could have very easily have prevented it. Period. And that's why he is not fit to be president. I'm fine with all those crazy tweets for years, the nonsense statements for years. Okay, it's just crazy. It's the day we live in. You've encouraged people to attack the Capitol. There's no forgiveness for that. And so if you're a Republican, if you're a Trump supporter, I know many are no longer, ask yourself a very simple question. Am I loyal to one man? Or am I loyal to an ideal that I believe in? If you believe in being conservative, if you believe in certain ideals, so be it. That's great. That's part of who we are as Americans. We debate those things. We pass laws, we change them, and we go to court, we fight, and we make sure we have every viewpoint we want out there, and we fight for those viewpoints. But if our loyalty is to a man, to one particular person, we can be capable of crazy and absurd, nuts things, and we're seeing that. And these are not little impressionable kids. These are adults, people who were in the military, parents that went to this rally and were sitting in the Capitol building. Period. And Jack, who's a Trump supporter, apparently just posted Trump is a symptom. We have the right as an individual and the responsibility as an individual to not be a part of the problem. We can be a part of having honest, real, intelligent discussion and debate, or we can be a part of that problem. That's up to us. Do a little bit of self-reflection. It's just a crazy day, and it's going to be an even crazier week. I hope to God Trump stays in his bedroom and shuts up for the next 8-9 days. He could have prevented 5 deaths. He chose not to. Guys, I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Hopefully we'll get into a little more specifics and also some local news as well, but there's just so much going on a national level. But again, thank you so much for all the notes this weekend, and we will see you again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night.